the fitness tracker that awarded us a badge at 2:37 a.m. My wrist buzzed like a secret with terrible timing. I was rinsing coffee grounds from the French press when the fitness app congratulated me. New achievement. Partners in Motion, completed with Milo 2:37 a.m. A confetti animation burst across the screen, cheerful as a party thrown by strangers in my kitchen. Underneath, a map traced a crisp loop from our block to a glass hotel on the river and back again. Segment completed. Room 512, elevated heart rate for 23 minutes. I stared at the numbers, as if starring could turn them coincidental. We were the kind of ordinary I didn't want to improve. Dasha slept with her palm open on my ribs like she was taking attendance of my breath. On Sundays, I ironed pillowcases because flat cotton feels like a promise heat can keep. Our balcony forgave being too narrow for two chairs by letting us take turns and calling it choreography. When rain came, we cracked the window and let the city wash its face while we washed each other's. Her knee hooked behind my thigh like a knot meant for boats. My mouth found that nickel-bright patch beneath her collarbone where breath confesses to being heat. We were small and brave and unphotographed about it. Drift learned our house before I admitted I spoke the language. Rosemary moved out of the kitchen. Something mineral moved in, citrus poured over stone, a scent that signs its name on air. Her phone adopted a two-note chime at 12:06 and 12:11 brisk, a second doorbell for a smaller house inside ours. London, she said, polite and practiced. Their morning keeps stepping on my midnight. She began showering in the dark. Migraine, she told the mirror. I learned to shave by memory and called it loyalty because questions are expensive. The app continued its performance. You and Milo are on a 3-week streak. Send a fist bump. Below that, a thumbnail photograph, 2 rings of light on a ceiling and the edge of a headboard pretending to be walnut. The caption, Auto Snap, Room 512. My watch must have decided to help. It had switched to workout mode at 2:13 and as a kindness to the future, recorded proof. Evidence is the frightened man's hobby. I started a folder on my laptop named Pulse because I wanted the work to sound mechanical. Into it went screenshots of the achievement, the map, the auto snap, the serial number of the guest network, Harbor South 512, the heart rate graph that rose like an insult and curved into certainty. In the glove compartment, my fingers found the obedient half of a cufflink, mother of pearl caught in gunmetal, a coin you pay a ferryman with when you're light on truth. I held it to the window and watched my face bend, wrong inside its milky eye. We met in a stairwell because elevators like to give sermons about patience. Stairwells tell the truth, she'd said, heels in one hand, grin reckless as a dare. On the landing, she pressed her thumb to the thin place at my wrist and told me to keep still while she memorized me with her mouth. Later, in my apartment, she slept with her palm over my ribs like gravity had asked for a witness. In the morning, the light on her shoulder made a case for faith. I took a photo and felt the room agree about us. At noon, I walked to Harbor South, the glass wedge that sells weather and practice discretion, time and expensive kindness in the lobby. The elevators doing arithmetic for people who purchase altitude and call it absolution. A man with careful shoulders and a jaw that has always been answered tilted his head toward the concierge in a way that moved the room without touching it. Slate jacket, hair parted by geometry. I ordered the cheapest beer the bar rescented and tipped like apology I hadn't made yet. On a screen near the elevator, a cheerful loop invited guests to link your devices for enhanced experiences. That word, enhanced, ate something soft inside me. I went home through whether that couldn't decide which face to wear. The apartment had learned the scent of Seabreeze number 4, a diffuser's opinion of the ocean. Dasha was at the table in my t-shirt, laptop open, eyes the polite distance of someone on a call. She muted, smiled the practiced smile of a person who believes in posture, and mouthed later. When later arrived, it brought wine, the good glasses, and a body that knew mine. She kissed me with accurate affection, recruiting muscle memory while sparing hope. Under the table her foot found my shin. Our oldest code, stay. After dishes we made the kind of truce that looks like intimacy. In bed, she crossed her knee behind my thigh and guided my hand under her shirt like a host switching on a familiar lamp. My mouth found the coin of heat beneath her collarbone. She made the low vowel that dims a city. We moved the way people move when they've studied and still want to pass for spontaneous. In the middle, her eyes went elsewhere for a beat and returned with apology penciled at the edges. Pencil erases clean if you don't press. I didn't press. The watch buzzed against the sheet at 12:11 with the old two-note phantom. I turned the face down and counted breaths until morning agreed to show up. I called a lawyer whose office lives above a cobbler. The stairs smell like leather and old rain. She listened while I described crimes committed by confetti animations and heart rate graphs. Then she asked the only useful question. Outcome or scene? Outcome, I said, surprising the piece of me that budgets for drama. Good, she said. Bring boring dates, doors, dollars, screenshots over speeches. One witness who loves you without auditioning, and don't send your heart by text. Judges itch. My witnesses are competent at silence that doesn't stab. Her sister Liza, precise, decent, and my friend Marco, who moves heavy things and refuses to narrate them. I invited them for dinner and called it a Sunday menu test because parties are scaffolding. The apartment learned to smell like garlic telling the truth. At 7:52, Dasha texted 15, which in our new arithmetic means 30. At 8:23, she arrived with indoor wind on her cheeks and kissed me with accurate affection in front of them, practicing civility like a sport. We ate. Laughter borrowed our mouths and used them well. After coffee, I set my phone on the table, opened the app, and let the confetti animation humiliate me in color. Partners in motion, I read, as neutrally as a bench. The map drew its loop again. The watch face displayed last night's graph like a polite mountain range. Marco set his palm flat on the table, international sign for do not let the furniture try to fly. Lisa watched my face instead of the screen, which is a discipline and a blessing. We should talk privately, Dasha said, the conference room arriving in our kitchen. We will, I said, but I need witnesses that I didn't dream a badge. They left us with the scent of garlic and the weight of the room we'd taught to keep our heat. Dasha touched the screen with 2 fingers and scrolled back through a month of stamina I hadn't earned. The graph drew its clean insults. I told myself it was a hallway, she said, finally. Somewhere I could stand without a tour guide. I liked the echo. She placed one fingertip on the cufflink half, then lifted it as if the metal might report her temperature. Is he married? I asked, bureaucracy for ghosts. Separating, she said, a daughter 7. Do you love him? The word took its chair and stared at us calmly. She looked up at the ceiling crack that resembles a river refusing to choose a mouth. I love who I am when I stop narrating, she said. With you I started describing myself from outside, like I owed footnotes to my own breathing. He turned the placards around and said he believed the painting without the text. She exhaled the way people do when they are telling a truth that won't make anything easier. I loved us like architecture, she said, quieter. I wanted weather. We're going to separate, I told her. Though we did the clean work a knife does when asked to be kind. She nodded. The hinge between her collarbones relaxed in a relief I wanted to call cruelty and couldn't. Do you want me to go now? She asked. I want you to stop letting my watch keep score for rooms I'm not in, I said. Pick a door. I'll take the other. Leaving looks fast when you've rehearsed it in your head for months. She took the hoodie, the charger that fits everything, the scent that had colonized corners. She left the cufflink half, the dumb little medal the app kept offering, and a diffuser that insisted the apartment could pretend to be ocean. At the threshold, she lifted her hand toward my wrist, the old code, thumb to thin skin, and changed her mind midair. The absence of contact left a mark anyway. I was happy, she said, and greedy, and afraid and sorry. You were alive, I said, so am I. He wrote once, as scripts require. Corporate letterhead sorted into contrition, respect, timing, a hope we could proceed as gentlemen, a noun that breaks in the wash. I forwarded it to the lawyer and to Marco, who replied with the three-word liturgy we should all keep above our stoves: block, breathe, boil. I boiled water until the window wrote a softer weather over the city's hard face. The bed learned my outline again. The two-note phantom chimed in my head at 12, 11 for a week, then retired when I stopped setting a chair for it. I changed every password into a sentence about bridges in motion and taped each inside the cabinet where we keep the salt because faith should be findable. I ironed pillowcases badly and let the crease be a record rather than a failure. The app kept trying to help. Send Milo a high five. Schedule your next partner session. I tapped options and then leave group. It asked if I was sure. I tapped yes and watched the confetti animation reverse itself into ordinary pixels. I renamed my device to my full name and erased every trusted contact until the field said 0, a small, honorable number. Desire didn't resign. It reorganized its shelves. Some nights my body remembers the exact weight of her knee hooking behind my thigh and the soft, unreasonable sound she made when my mouth found the place where breath becomes heat. Memory is accurate and unkind. I let it sing to the chorus, and then I make tea. The kettle's small scream is the only emergency I obey after midnight. I press my thumb to the thin place at my wrist where her code used to land and listen to the sentence the body never misquotes. Here, here, here. Once, because endings itch, I walked to Harbor South at 2:37 a.m., the hour my watch had applauded me for not being there. Heat lamps pretended summer. The elevators did arithmetic for people purchasing gossip from altitude. I stood with my hands in my pockets and forgave the numbers for being innocent. The bartender poured me water with the same respect he gives men about to audition for regret. I tipped too much and left with air in my lungs that didn't taste like anyone else's mouth. Back home, the apartment was honest in the way rooms are when they're too tired to perform. I unpaired the watch from everything that thought it knew me and set it beside the sink to learn humility. I scrubbed the counter until it squeaked its small acceptance. I set 2 chairs on the too narrow balcony and let one be empty without inventing a ghost to sit in it. I opened the window an inch and let the city wash its face. The decree arrived on paper thick enough to cosplay gravity. I folded it and slid it under the tray by the door where keys and small solutions live. I carried the cufflink half to a thrift shop and let it clink among other orphans. The woman behind the counter said to the air, "Some pairs have always slept better apart," and I blessed her with a nod. The last time I saw Dasha, the elevator performed its secular miracle of coincidence. We arrived at the lobby on the same ding. She wore a coat the color of decisions and carried a paper bag of oranges like a rationed son. "Hey," she said, neighbor quiet. "Sleep." "Better," I said, and the word didn't need applause. She adjusted her scarf and didn't touch my wrist. I admired her restraint and then my own. The doors closed and returned each of us to our earned floors. Sometimes, out of mischief or mercy, I start a workout at dusk and go nowhere. The watch counts a slow lap around the apartment while the kettle thinks about screaming and the window permits the river to audition for silver. The app asks if I want to share, and I decline with a gentleness that feels like strength. I salt water. I turn the lamp low. If a badge ever again tries to congratulate me for a night I didn't live, I'll teach it the rule I taught the apartment and the man living in it. Not tonight. Not anymore. Count only what I carry. Hold.